The estimation in the research literature is about 10% of students in our schools at any one time present with significant challenging behaviour. There are so many factors that a teacher simply obviously cannot control, or a school can't control, from a family dynamic. And some of the children from some of our families, a small percentage, but a disturbingly small percentage, there is substance abuse, there's domestic violence, there's issues of poor diet, significant family dysfunction, values about race, ethnicity, homophobia. These are the factors we can't control. Obviously, if we have any concern that the child may be at risk of any form of abuse in that family dynamic, we'll go through the due process within the school to address that. However, at the school, at least at school, for those children, school can be a safe, psychologically and physically and emotionally safe place, a sane place with sane, caring, supportive, consistently caring adults around him or her. And it's a secure place. We just call those the 3 S's. So beyond all else that schools do, they have to be a safe, sane, secure place for all children. Specifically for these children, though, who come from very disturbed and damaging situations which we can't directly control. So the first question we ask ourselves is, what can we do? What can we control at school? And a percentage of children will need significant long-term behaviour support. You may recall I spoke briefly about Shay before, that little lad that was repeatedly calling out. We took Shay aside, my colleague and myself took Shay aside for 10 minutes, initially twice a week in non-contact time, that's recess time, and we tried to point out very carefully to him in the first meeting that this was not a punishment of any kind. We wanted to talk to him about his behaviour in class, so we talked about the calling out behaviour. So we often start with a picture, and we ask questions like, what can you see in the picture? First of all, who is this? They always know it's them. Then we ask questions like, what are you doing in the picture? Not why are you calling out like it shows in the picture, but what are you doing? If the child struggles with that, we say, well, you're calling out. You can see like in the picture. And the faces you can see in the background, the faces of the teacher and the other students look upset, perhaps even sad, you can see that. So we try to link his behaviour with the teacher's upsettedness. This is to cue the child into the effect of his behaviour. And some children will say, I don't like that picture. And we say, I don't like it either. I like this picture though. And the second picture shows Shay, or whoever the child is, putting his hand up without calling out, using whole body sitting when he's sitting at his table during on-task learning, using his partner voice instead of a very loud voice. So the specific behaviours that he either hasn't learnt or he's learned in an unhelpful and highly attentional way, we're trying to teach him appropriate behaviours, but in a one-to-one capacity. Once we've identified the behaviour in the second picture, whatever the behaviour is we're working on, we then model that to the child, and this is crucial. What we're trying to teach them, if we can't model it, it doesn't have that concrete clarity that's important in learning. So we model that behaviour, then we rehearse it with him. And the rehearsal is the really crucial point. So it's your turn now. And then we practice whatever it is, the partner voice, the whole body sitting, the sitting on the mat. We literally rehearse it with the child in the safety of a one-to-one setting. And then back in the classroom, when they're behaving appropriately, we reinforce that through encouragement. Not praise, but encouragement. For example, you've remembered to use your partner voice. That's helping everyone at your table. I can see you brought your seats right in so you're sitting relaxed. We don't walk up and say pointless things like, that's brilliant, or that's fantastic, or that's great, or it's marvellous or wonderful. None of those behaviours is brilliant, marvellous, great, or wonderful. Almost every child is doing that all the time. So any encouragement that's given is descriptive rather than linked to statements of praise for the child. A number of young boys struggle with their temper or their frustration. So when we work with them one-to-one, we point out that frustration and anger are not bad emotions. But when we lash out and yell and throw things and have a temper tantrum and sometimes even do a bolt from the classroom, these behaviours are not okay. The least helpful thing to say to a very frustrated or angry child when they're angry is to say, calm down or stop being angry. Many children don't know how to calm down, even children who are not normally exhibiting temper tantrums. So we actually teach them self-calming skills, and these involve what we call calm counting, backwards from 10. Sometimes it helps to close their eyes to do this. Calm breathing to a cycle, not deep breathing, but calm breathing for 2 or 3 minutes, just to get their sense of focusing in on themselves now rather than on the world around them that might be frustrating them. And then to refocus to what it is it's appropriate to do in the class at that point. Now sometimes these skills we also use during a timeout episode when the child may need to have supervised timeout away from the classroom. But the key is to give him strategies of self-calming as well as being able to tell his teacher what he's angry about, because that gives some responsibility to the child to manage his own frustration or temper. Sometimes teachers do get discouraged by the challenge of behaviour leadership of a class, particularly in more challenging schools. But I would encourage you, it's never too late to re-establish with a class or with a challenging individual, as long as we have non-judgmental colleague support. And it is never too late to do this. And I do urge you to think about that as you reflect on your leadership of your classes.